Gobble gobble, it's episode 107 of the RunIowa podcast. I'm Rob Lindquist.
And I'm Dave Kading.
This is our Thanksgiving episode. We're doing a holiday episode, Dave.
Yay!
Woohoo! In this episode, we're going to talk about, like holiday stuff.
Yes, we are.
Of course. And we're going to talk to a friend of the podcast, Brad Dains, and on a whole bunch of different things. Love talking to Brad. He's good. And then, of course, our Of the Weeks.
Of the
Weeks. There we go. Episode 107 coming at you right now. Gobble gobble. Wait, I did that twice. Really? All right. All right, Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself, Rob?
Not too bad. Getting ready for the holiday season. For us teachers, might be a little different than for some other people.
Yeah, it might be, but it's amazing how quickly it's upon us.
I agree. I just told somebody that yesterday. I think part of it, for me at least, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I had a big hunk of mashed potatoes just a minute ago. A big part of that for me is I had my kid in April.
You and this kid excuse.
Yeah. No. But
Jesus.
I tell you what, it goes so much faster when you have 3 kids. I was telling somebody that yesterday. I said, kid 1, everything, every day, you're talking about what your kid did. Right? Like every single, my kid farted. Mark it on the calendar. Yep. Right? Baby 2, you're like, okay, getting about half of them. You're like, okay, yeah, you're doing good, doing well. You didn't hurt either one of you today. We're awesome, right?
Right.
Baby 3, you're just like, oh, he's 7 months already?
Right.
Like, wait a second, what happened? And you're back to life, and you're trying to savor every moment with your kid. But man, it's fast. And then holidays are here.
It flies by.
So we have our Thanksgiving episode. This is our first time we're actually putting out an episode on holiday, I believe. And the reason for that is because I figured out how to preset our podcast, so we can go ahead and do that. But what's new with you in running, Dave? Anything exciting happened lately, or
no?
Yeah? Oh, that's a lie. Something did exciting happen.
What?
We both registered for Boston.
Oh, yes, we did.
Oh, yeah. So we're both teachers.
Yes, we are.
Our listeners know that, unless you're new. Hi, if you're new.
Right.
Did you found something online?
Well, Dave Alder, who we had on the podcast, I don't know, a year or so ago.
Wait, that's just weird to say, right?
Right.
Like, oh, man.
He runs with Red, White, Blue, and
okay.
He tagged me in a link that one of the sponsors of the Boston Marathon, every year with their sponsor exemption for runners, they put together a team. And last year, or this past marathon was the 50th anniversary of female running it. Okay. And so they put together an all-female team.
And what were the qualifications? Just be a female?
Yeah, and I think you had to run a marathon or 3 halves in the last 18 months, or have some extraordinary athletic, not skill, but just something that ties to that. Yeah. And they ask you some questions, and what races have you run and stuff. So this year for the 2018 Boston, they're putting together awesome teachers team. Woohoo! So,
and we're teachers. Yes. I don't know about awesome, but we're teachers.
So he tagged me, and I filled it out, shared it with you, and
this is our little hey, let's in the name of the sponsor.
Is
Highland?
Yes. Yeah. Highland supplements kind of stuff. So they're the official cramp relief sponsor for the Boston Marathon.
If I'm running Boston, there's a good chance I'll go to cramp.
Yes, same here. I wish I would have known them when I ran Chicago. It might have been a lot better outcome for me. So we both filled this out, and it's a complete long shot. I would assume it's a complete long shot. We'll find out December 2nd or 4th or something like that. Something like that. So that'd be cool.
It would be pretty cool if we got on there. So
we'll see. With the
because I'll never make it speed wise. I think everybody who listens knows that.
So it's one of those. I told, if my wife listens to this, which thank God she doesn't, because she's not a runner.
I think my wife's on episode 13.
So she's that. I told her, okay, after I ran Chicago and it was just a miserable finish and stuff. I said, all right, I'm done. I'm not doing this. Right. And then as soon as I say that, this friend of mine, Dave, tags me in this, and you have to do this.
Right.
And I'm like, well, it's the Boston. I can't. If I don't get in, then I'm finished.
Right.
But
yeah.
It's one of those, it's a once in a lifetime thing for me.
Right.
And so So I guess training starts this weekend because I'm going to have to,
Yeah.
it's short enough that you're going to have to start working to do it right now.
I think, and of course, it's a complete, almost a lottery. Almost, it's
Yeah.
and like you said, if I don't win that, then obviously I'm not going to
Right.
get into Boston.
Yep.
Probably more than,
Yep.
and I hadn't even thought about it until you mentioned that to me. Which, thank you, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But it was one of those things where I told my wife, I said, I don't gamble a whole lot. I mean, I kind of do, but not all the time.
Right.
And I don't really do sweepstakes very often, mainly because I don't like the clog of email stuff. But for some reason, last week when you told me this, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it is, I had signed up for like 5 different things. Like just for some reason, some sweepstakes stuff, something like this and that sort of thing. And one of them, so I signed up like for a Cowboys game on Thanksgiving Day, all expenses paid, and this, and then like journalism notebooks, because I'm a journalism teacher.
Right.
I won the journalism notebooks. So I'm like, if that's any indication, let's just keep this thing rolling here. Let's get the Cowboy game. Let's get the Boston in there. So it'd be super exciting. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. I mean, that's like our guest Brad says that for him, Western States is kind of his Boston Marathon,
absolutely.
and he's in the lottery, and we'll talk about that when we talk to him later in the show. But that's kind of the same thing for us. We're definitely not running a 100-mile ultra,
Right.
So
no, it'd be very cool to get in. So Highland people, if you happen to be listening to our podcast on Thanksgiving Day, because why? What else would you be doing, really?
Right.
We're available.
Yes, we are.
Cool. With that too, and just kind of on the transition, Dave, holidays are here. How do you keep yourself? Do you have a schedule if you don't have a race? How do you keep yourself running, or what do you do during the holidays for your running etiquette?
Well,
do you run a turkey trot every?
No, I don't. I don't think I did one virtual Thanksgiving run a few years ago, but no, I usually don't. Because I can't always say that's the time I can run.
Sure.
But I try to run. I usually run every day during Thanksgiving, just so I can get out of the house and away from
like
everybody.
our break.
Yes. It's when you have friends and family that are crashing at your place, it's kind of good just to get out of the house. They need to be away from me as much as I need to be away from them.
Yeah.
I'll run.
I think my wife and I want to do a turkey trot. I think we'll be able to on, Thanksgiving Day, which is this morning as of this podcast. So hopefully we were able to get something out there, at least go for a run. Weather, from what I understand, a week out, or roughly, is supposed to be nice.
Yeah, I think so.
Watch, somebody's listening and it's like downpouring or snowing or something weird like that. So what about your favorite meal? What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish or meal?
That's funny. I'm not a huge Thanksgiving food fan.
Sure.
But mashed potatoes and gravy and stuffing, I can eat that.
Stuffing is kind of like that one thing that, because I only get it on a holiday meal, I gorge on it.
Yeah, no doubt. And green bean casserole. Everybody has green bean casserole. Is pretty good. So those things, but I'm not a big turkey fan. So
okay,
I can take or leave the turkey part.
My wife's family, they do a big family thing, which means there's always tons of sides. And the one thing that I can never skip is the stuffing, no matter what it looks like or how it looks or who made it or whatever. She has an uncle that will make it from scratch, like cut up the bread, let it dry out to make the crouton like stuff to then bake it. And so he does it from scratch, and that's fantastic. But then I will also just eat the stuff that's right out of the box. Like I love that stuff too.
Same here.
And so that's my one vice, I guess, would be the stuffing.
And the stuffing, I'll go buy the cheap
absolutely
Hy-Vee brand or whatever, because it's all good to me.
Hy-Vee, cha-ching.
Yep.
With that, are you a white meat, dark meat turkey? I know
like
you said you
meat.
didn't really matter.
I like dark meat.
So do I. I'm a big fan of the dark meat. I don't know. I don't know. It's better for me.
Yeah.
Is it the white meat's healthier, right? Am I correct? Yeah. But I just like the taste.
Right.
I have a different uncle that he will smoke a turkey. Do you smoke turkeys?
I did last year.
You did? Do you enjoy it? Do you like it better?
It's just different.
It's just different. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I've done them on my smoker. I have a turkey fryer. I've fried them.
I really hope somebody's running while they're listening to
Yeah.
this on Thanksgiving Day, and they're like, "Oh, now I'm."
So they're
hungry."
all good.
Yeah, absolutely. How about a paired drink with your meal? What do you do? Like water, beer, wine? Do you do
Wine,
anything specific?
Yeah, a good cab.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it with anything. It
Sure.
might not go.
I'm a big cab fan.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew
Yeah,
that about you.
Yeah. So, so any
Okay.
good wine.
I usually stick to water for the meal.
Yeah, so do I.
Just
yeah.
because I need to gotta get
Yeah.
room for the food.
Yeah.
But I will generally have a beer or two, depending on if there's a football game.
Right.
You know, I'm a Cowboys fan, so typically Cowboys are on at some point on Thanksgiving.
Right.
And so I'll watch the game with a beverage. I've done the scotch or the whiskey, and I'm not a fan of the hard stuff while I'm eating.
Yeah, neither am I.
So I'll stick to the water.
I will be doing the bourbon
Oh, yeah.
after dinner.
Yeah.
When it's time to wash down the sandwich.
So that's the next question. The next logical question in here is leftovers, for or against?
4.
Oh yeah,
That's the best
How
part.
long?
So, a week?
A week? Absolutely. As long as it's there, I'll
Yep.
eat it. There are two things that I will eat every single day of the week if I had to. It's turkey, like Thanksgiving leftovers or
Yep.
Christmas leftover, whatever holiday leftovers you like. And like Costco has their big chicken pot pie that's like 2 feet wide. And we make that, and I will eat that every day for the rest of my life if I had to. I love that stuff so much. And I know it's like nothing really different than a whole lot of any other pot pie type deals. Oh, man, I could just do that every day. That's why I run, Dave.
Right.
That's why.
I hear you.
All right. Any running traditions you have during the holidays?
No.
No, nothing
You?
you always have to do no matter what?
No. Holiday stuff for me because I like to be outdoors and stuff. Not that running's not outdoors, but
Right.
it's usually get
You're a
together with
hunter,
friends,
though, too,
yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
go hunting. So that's usually my holiday time.
PETA can send your letters to
Yep.
RunIowa. No.
Well, as it's called, hunting.
Right.
I didn't say I'm killing.
Yeah, that's true. That's like me fishing. I
Yes.
don't actually catch anything.
Yep.
I'm out there. I was just gonna add one other thing to that. Right before hunting, what did I say?
I don't remember.
Nice. Oh, my tradition. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
traditions.
Yeah,
That's what we're
this is
talking
live radio, folks.
Yes.
We don't have time to edit things. My one tradition I do like to do during the holidays, especially here in Iowa, is the first real heavy snow. I like to go running in that first real heavy snow, where it's not quite sticking to the ground, but it's still in the grass and like piling up. You get 2 or 3 solid
right.
inches.
Yeah.
So
No, that's fun too.
like ever since I started running, that's one thing I had to do.
That's
cool.
a good thing. Yeah. I wouldn't skip doing that.
Right. And it's not anything that I have to do, but it's just kind of fun.
No, it's fun.
All right, we're going to stop talking about food and things like that. We're going to talk to Brad Dains in just a second. Brad is a friend of the podcast. We're going to go all over the place with him.
Yes.
It's fun, and he's a great listen and talk about speed work and racing, run director, and all sorts of different things. So stick with us. This is episode 107 of the Run Iowa podcast. And welcome back to the podcast. On the line with us now is podcast friend Brad Dains. Brad, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Awesome. Happy Thanksgiving. This is our
Yep.
Thanksgiving episode. So I'm assuming we're recording early, but I'm assuming you have some plans set for maybe Thanksgiving, a little family event, or maybe a run even?
Yeah, we go to Eastern Iowa for family stuff, and then I'll come back to. I got to work on Saturday.
Oh.
Retail, part-time retail. You got to work. So,
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
I thankfully get Black Friday off, so I just have to work on Saturday. So yeah, it's all good, and I'll probably go for a earn your keep run on Thursday and probably on Friday too, and hopefully try to burn some free calories.
Right.
That's right. It's always that balance around the holidays of, okay, how much can I eat? And then just kind of go there like, okay, I know I can eat a full turkey leg and not throw up. Like I've done that before,
Exactly.
like trying to figure
Yep.
out my limits there. So what's up with you? You got a race coming up here, the Sycamore 8. You're the race director, and it's your last time directing this race, right?
Yeah, I'm really excited. So I've been the race director now for, this will be my 6th year. It's part of the Capital Striders group. You know, we put on the 4 races every year, and this is kind of our end of the season race. And the thing that I love about it, it's a super beginner friendly trail.
Sure.
Super.
It's probably one of my favorite trails in Des Moines because it's one of the few that you can just get up and go. And I mean, there'll be some dudes that'll finish this thing in, like, it's I call it a skosh under 8 miles. And there's some dudes that'll run this thing in like 42, 43 minutes. I mean, and they're flying.
That's smoking.
So it's a pretty flat trail then? Is that kind of what I'm getting with the super easy, or?
Yeah, so I mean, what we do is we start on the north end of the trail. It's a point to point, so we bus everybody out to the start line, and then you run along the Des Moines River, and then so it's single track for most of it. There's a little section of about 1.5 miles where it's a paved bike trail. And then, so it's actually right after the 4-mile mark. You jump onto the paved bike trail, and then you're on it for 1.5 miles, and then you jump back onto the single track, finished it out. It's really pretty flat, not super technical. There's some rollers, some really nice rollers in there. It's just a great course. I mean, it's very mountain bike friendly too.
Okay.
We have a lot of people that ride it on mountain bikes too. So yeah, it's a super great course. I love it. We've taken it from I want to say 35 to 40 finishers to this year we're hoping to get 300.
Oh,
awesome.
Wow. That's awesome. Does that mean?
Yeah, we're halfway full. So if anybody wants in, it's December 2nd, and you get a really sweet trucker hat that I personally have picked out. You get a quarter pound bag of coffee from our friends at Grounds for Celebration. They make fantastic coffee. And then there's a post-race party with first drink on us. So
Ooh, that's cool.
Dave,
Yeah.
I'm going to send Dave that way and just do it. So unfortunately we have Christmas celebration already that weekend. I was going to sign up, and I asked my wife, I said, hey, can I do this? It'd be really fun to go out there. It's Brad's last time RD. And she's like, yeah, we have Christmas. And I'm like,
I'll just bring the family along.
There you go. I'm in.
Along.
Yes.
Yeah.
They could all run. Well, there's
Right.
only like 80 of them. I think we.
Yeah. Well, they're only half full, so you
That's
can
true. We can get everybody
signed
signed
Right,
up.
right.
Exactly. With that, first of all, is there? Well, I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. A reason this is the last time you're doing this race, or are you just kind of moving on for something else, or?
No, so as a board member on the Capital Striders board, we can be on for a total of 6 years.
Gotcha.
And in March will be my 6th year, or the finale of my 6th year. And so I've got a really great assistant race director, co-race director, whatever you want to call him, Jason Kenyon. He's going to take over and do it. Since it's a club race, I mean, I could potentially be the race director next year, but it's kind of one of those deals where I'm not going to be on the board, so it's time for me to kind of pass it along to somebody else. And Jason's going to do a great job, and he's really he loves this trail too, and he loves trail running and being out in the woods. So I think it'll be in good hands.
That's awesome.
Speaking of trail runs, you are in the lottery for the Western States. How's that going for you?
Yeah. Like I have like nervous heart palpitations every day when I wake up because I'm a day closer to the lottery.
Right.
I'm really excited for it. I've got everything started in the plan. If on December 2nd, which is the same day as Sycamore 8,
Right.
my name gets drawn in the lottery, like I've got a great crew. They've already signed up. They're already ready to go, and they're the best. They're the best crew out there. And these guys have worked with me at Boonville for the past couple of years, and so I have to give them a shout out. Hi Sarah, hi Phil, Jim, and Jen. I love you guys.
That's awesome.
So we're going to gonna make it a big party if the name gets drawn. So
That'll be awesome. How many people go into the lottery every year?
so there is. I checked it this morning. There's 5,000 people in for 270
wow.
spots.
That's amazing.
Well,
Crazy.
good luck to you. Yeah.
So this will be my second year, my second consecutive year getting into the lottery. So I actually have 2 tickets. They do it super old school where they actually draw tickets.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I have 2 tickets. If I don't get in, I've got to find another qualifier next year and then get in for next year. So.
If you don't mind, I want to deviate from my original plan here and talk a little bit about your crew.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about crewing somebody
Right.
before. Could you let our listeners know what that entails for somebody that's going to be a member for somebody else, and really what the preparation is and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So I've had this crew now for the past 2.5 Boonvilles, we'll call it, the Boonville Backroads 100.
Sure.
One of the guys, Phil, actually surprised me my first year running it and showed up in the middle of the night and drove from point to point to point, helping me out with stuff. But I've assembled this crew because they really get along well together.
Okay.
And that's kind of the first thing you have to do is find some people that really just get along well. So I've got Sarah Schwedinger, who's a great friend of mine. She's on the board of directors
Right.
For the Striders too. She is kind of my little firecracker, like my little go type person. And like she's just incredible. Like she came up with this concept 2 years ago where when I was in a really dark spot, she'd ask me 3 things that were going well. And so every time I was hitting like just a really rough patch, she'd ask me about the 3 things that are going well. And so it's worked out really well. I've got a good friend of mine. His name's Phil Brecht. I've been friends with him since we were in elementary school. He's kind of my chef. He makes some of the best pancakes you're ever going to eat. And he gets a lot of my food together and stuff like that. So he's great. And then my pacers are always Jim and Jen Krzak. They actually moved to Madison. They lived in Des Moines here for a number of years. They moved to Madison, and they are so gracious to follow me along. And I give all the credit to them for like my past 2 Boonville finishes because they kind of pushed me along. So yeah, they're super great and really helpful. And really when, assembling the crew, aside from finding 3 to 4 or 5 people that work well together, it's also a conversation, people that you can have a conversation with and tell them, hey, if I'm in a bad spot, this is what I'm going to need.
Sure.
And we had an extra person join us last year, or I guess this year for Boonville. Her name's Laura, and she's a medic. And she really was a great resource when I was kind of dealing with some foot problems in the middle of the race. But, you've got to have that conversation and be able to say, hey, I don't need to be coddled. I don't need, to be told that I look good, because I know 80 miles into a race, I don't look good.
Right.
Right.
So it's got to be people that are willing to give you tough love and tell you to shut up and get back on the road or get back out on the trail. And really it's, you got to find people that can take your mind off of what you're doing. Because a lot of times people pick their best friend.
Right.
Well, these four are probably some of my best friends, but they know me to know that I don't need the I love you speeches. They know that I need the get your ass out of a chair and get moving.
I feel like there has to be a balance of, like you said, being your best friend, but also that high school coach you hated, that would just kind of motivate you in the way you didn't want to be motivated, but it always worked.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. And and Jim and Jen, for the last 2 years, they've each done 19 miles each, so 38-ish miles of Boonville with me. And what they would do is they would switch off every aid station. So, I mean, it worked out really well for those two, just switching off, and it would keep the conversation light. We'd keep the conversation going. We'd talk about, my kids, because my family's probably the most important thing in my life, obviously. And talking about my kids and my wife and, the things that, I saw that your wife posted this picture on Facebook of your daughter doing this. Tell me about that. And so, they know the things that will keep me moving when I don't want to move anymore.
Sure.
That's got to be so important when you're doing something that's takes you a day to do,
Yeah, exactly.
That having good conversation and people that you trust to keep you moving is, I can't tell you how important that's got to be.
They're, like I said, they're the best around because they know what my goal is. They know always what my goal is, and that's a conversation we have beforehand too. And they know my goal is, like, my Boston Marathon is the Western States 100, and they know that.
Right.
And they're going to do whatever they can to help me attain that goal. And I mean, like I said, I give them a tremendous amount of credit for making me eat, making me drink, doing these things that come so natural. But when you're 26 hours into an event and your brain shuts off, like, they're reminding me to drink, just a basic, something that I need to do.
Sure.
And, I mean, that's the thing about assembling a crew. You have to find those people that are really good friends, and, they can work well together, and B, just people that will keep you moving.
One thing that we had discussed pre-show was you talk about long races doesn't necessarily mean you have to sacrifice your speed as well, and that could be a point. I want to bring up, before I ask you my question, one of our former guests, Camille Herron, just broke the 100-mile record with a 7:38 pace. She finished in 12 hours, something like that.
Fast.
Yeah, right. I'm sitting there trying to fathom how that would go. But so how do you, when your brain turns off, how do you keep yourself going at whatever pace is possible? And really, how can you not sacrifice speed sometimes with those long races?
Well, and I'm definitely not her caliber of running a
I don't think anybody is, to be honest.
7:37 for 12 hours and 42 minutes.
Right.
But so I did the Equalizer endurance run a couple of weeks ago, and the race didn't turn out like I had hoped for. But I went into it probably the most fit I've ever been. And I mean, a lot of it is because I was trying to work on more speed, and like more tempo runs. And, as a dad of 4 kids and, a full-time job and a part-time job and a soccer coach and all this other stuff, I got to take advantage of every waking moment that I can get. So a lot of my runs were more geared towards the speed side and doing more tempo type stuff. And I think that's what's kind of changed in long distance running, is more people are realizing that, you do have to do the speed work. You do have to do the tempo work. I haven't been on a track, but I mean, in years, but I find point to points, and I'll do like somewhat track work.
Sure.
And the other thing that people don't realize is, hills are awful, like awful, but they are. And one of my friends told me this one time: hills are speed work in disguise. And so a lot of the time, I'll do hill repeats for 7, 8, 10 miles, and it's the same route over and over and over and over again, because I know that it's a big climb, and then I got a big descent, and then I got a big climb, and then I got a big descent. So, if you don't have, a track or something where you can get up and move, like, just find a really big hill and just go up and down it a dozen or 15 or 20 times.
Love to hate that hill. Like,
yeah, I love to hate it. I mean, it is. I mean, and that's one of the things when I was at the Equalizer, like I said, I was probably in the best shape I've been in probably a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
as far as my leg speed goes. And I did, I was leading all 3 of the races through the first like 5 hours, I think.
Oh wow.
And that was pretty big for me because
Sure.
I'm not a super fast guy. But it was, I think the speed work and the tempo work and all this stuff was finally coming to fruition with the fact that I could get up and move for a good 5 or 6 hours at a pretty decent clip and gain some miles. So
Do I remember correctly? And you can absolutely just tell me I'm stupid. But didn't you just recently run a 7-minute mile for a training run? Maybe not recently. It might have been a month or so ago that I remember seeing something. But you did clip off a pretty quick couple miles doing some of your speed work.
Well, and it's funny because so Sarah, again, part of my crew,
Mm-hmm.
she's a track queen. Like, she loves track.
Sure.
And she leads the Striders track group in the spring, summer, and early part of the fall. And I did the Grand Blue Mile in April,
Okay.
right before the Drake Relays. And I didn't run track. I didn't run cross country. I've never, ever, ever in my entire life worked on speed work.
Mm-hmm.
And the last couple of years, I've been trying to incorporate more up-tempo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a 5:21 mile.
Right. Okay. That's what I remember seeing, I think.
For the Grand Blue Mile. And
Mhm.
like, for a guy who used to weigh 315 pounds, running a 5:21 mile is insane.
Right.
Crazy.
And then like it's funny because this year has been kind of the year of my sub ultra PRs. So I set my 1 mile PR at 5:21. I set my 5K PR at 8:55, and I set my 10K PR at 46 and change.
That's awesome.
So it's gotten to the point where I know that I can do these, 100 milers or ultras or whatever, but just throwing in some speed work and just getting the legs moving, are massively important. And I'm finding that now, 15 ultras into my career. So
The fact that you're saying 15 ultras and I'm scared of one, you know what I mean?
No doubt. No doubt. Hey, so
yeah,
what,
it's pretty nuts.
So as you're sitting there gearing up because you'll get into the western states, I have no doubt.
Dave has inside track here.
Yep,
He knows.
I have no doubt.
I'm banking on that insight knowledge.
Yep, I was just doing the math in there. Since you have 2 tickets, that it greatly
Right.
increases your odds.
Right. Doubles it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to be getting ready. So what's your favorite Thanksgiving meals? You're going to start off your training almost with Thanksgiving as your pre-training meal. So what's your favorite Thanksgiving meal dish?
It's like and this rings true to even races. Like, I love potatoes.
Oh yeah.
Like, I just love mashed potatoes and like gravy, and the really fatty gravy. The stuff that basically congeals into a solid when you let it
Yes.
sit for an hour.
Yep.
I legitimately
you know,
just got done eating a whole bunch of potatoes before we started recording here today. So Dave probably has that
man.
smell in his nose
Yeah.
right now.
No, that's a
Well, and it's funny because like at races, so this past Rocky Raccoon in 2017, so this past February, I discovered my love for instant mashed potatoes with chicken broth mixed in.
Really?
And so it's almost like a soup, but you get the potato taste and you get the chicken broth taste. And so when the Boonville Backroads came up, that's what I had. Like, that's what my main meal was instant mashed potatoes.
Is it? Do you? This might be too much detail, but is it the flakes like the spuds, or is it the little bags that have like the powdery stuff? Which one do you prefer?
The bags with the powder.
Yes.
Like, the
Okay.
stuff that's not even really potatoes.
Right. That's the one we eat at my house all the time. It's the only one my kids will eat, and so we load up on those all the time.
Well, and so like I knew that was kind of my deal, and I had seen this. This guy. His name is Jamil Curry. He does the Era Viper running out in Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and so he did a video about his time at one of the UTMB races in France, and he had in his pack mashed potato wraps. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that being an option. And so for the equalizer, I made mashed potatoes, like actual mashed potatoes, and then put them in a tortilla and put them in my cooler, and that's what I ate, you know.
How was the consistency when you were running then? Did it hold itself?
It really wasn't that bad.
Okay.
It really wasn't that bad. The problem was that it was when I wanted to eat those, it was like 31 degrees out.
Oh, sure.
And so they were cold and I was cold, so I really didn't want to eat them, but I did eat one of them. And you know, it's energy, you know.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna market this and mass produce mashed potato tortillas for runners, just like Jelly Belly did with the jelly bean. We're gonna do this
exactly,
and so I'm totally on board. Let's partner up on that.
Yep, no doubt.
Yep.
Nice.
We're gonna say patent pending on this for anybody who.
Right. Yep. Yes. Exactly. We've created the idea, so that by default says that the three of us. Well, you first, and then we'll just hop on. Brad, thank you so much for coming on with us and telling us about everything. And good luck with Sycamore 8 coming up as your last race as the director, or at least for right now. I bet you'll get back into it. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's just a win.
Yeah, I love it. It's a lot of fun, and like I'm a big cheese ball at the end, and I make sure that everybody gets a high five or a hug or something at the end of it. That's the thing that people love is coming through and getting a high five or a butt slap. So
yeah,
you know, one thing I've learned doing this podcast is people don't remember the run; they remember the people. You know, and and that's kind of, you know, so your high five or whatnot. That's what people are going to remember, especially after a tough race or a first trail race or whatever it is. It's who's there with them, whether it's a crew or an RD or whatever it is. And so, good luck to you on your last one, and have an awesome holiday, man.
Yeah,
you as well, and have a nice Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas. If I don't talk to you guys before then.
Sounds
absolutely
good, sir.
Thanks, man.
Always a blast to talk with Brad. He's like the guy that you can always count on, no matter what.
Absolutely.
To be a guest. We got there of the weeks. Dave, you're going to start us off.
I am.
And what do you have?
I have. Well, you know, it's a holiday season, and we always talk about doing something. And when we talked to Brad, we asked if he was doing a Thanksgiving, you know, turkey trot or something.
Right.
And we talked about it. We've talked about those. So I am going to talk about the world's largest turkey trot. It's a virtual race. So
do you have to do it today?
Nope.
Like on Thanksgiving?
Nope. Okay. It's 6.2 miles. It's free.
Ooh.
So you don't have to pay anything to do it. It is through yes.fit, and it is, you have a 4-day window to do it. You have from the 22nd to the 26th at midnight to log your 6.2 miles. It's really easy to do. I've done several of them. So if you go to yes.fit right now, it pops up. Cool. You can get a finisher's medal and T-shirt and stuff, and that stuff is not. Last time I did one that was free, that was not part of the free part. But it's inexpensive. It's fun. Sure. And you can go out there and log it. Right now, there's 6,600 participants logged into it. So as a virtual race and a turkey trot, it kind of throws it in there as being the largest, because most turkey trots around the country, around the world, it might have a few hundred people because they're little local fun runs. Right. So
did I miss? Is there a medal or a prize or something?
You can register for that too.
Okay.
The run itself and getting your name on the list of participants is free.
Okay.
And then there's some other stuff, and I didn't click through it because it gives you. I'll sign in because I'm already a member.
Well, we will also have the info on RunIowa.org. You can find the info in the episode stuff.
So go out there so that everybody can do a turkey trot. Doesn't matter, and the reason I picked it is because it doesn't matter where you are.
Yep.
Any of our listeners or friends, or you could do it a family challenge for this Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah.
Go and tell all your family members, hey, we're going to do this turkey trot.
If you are running right now while listening on Thanksgiving Day, you could still go get registered real quick.
You could go and do it.
So,
absolutely.
And just log your miles and
log it in. Actually, you could go and finish up your race, your run, do your 6.2 or something around there, log in, and you just upload your time, and
there you go.
You do it. So you could do it post-run and still get in and log for a turkey trot.
Very cool. Awesome. Again, we'll put that on runiowa.org with the other information in our show podcast info. I have our tip of the week, and I'm going to stay on the theme of our Thanksgiving if you're out turkey trotting. I found some information at thisrunnersrecipes.com for turkey trot tips for both beginners and experienced runners. You can find the website. Again, I'll post it for everybody. I'm just going to give the information for the beginners, though. So if this might be your first turkey trot, you're just joining us on the podcast or something along those lines, you can go ahead and you're beginning your turkey trot experience, I guess would be the word. The first tip that we have here is to pace yourself and start at a comfortable effort. Even though the 3 or 6 miles isn't really a super long distance, you can still set yourself up for unpleasantness if you are sprinting the whole time. Depends on the time of day as well, so kind of get yourself a feel. Also, dress warm enough, but don't bundle up. A lot of the country, especially here in Iowa, it's probably going to be somewhat cold or windy, even possibly snowy. Let's hope not, according to our weather experts here. But so wear a rain jacket or tights or gloves or something like that. But also be prepared if you're able to shred, or not shred, what's the word I'm looking for? Like peel off and just toss some of your clothing. You can go back and get if you need to. A good rule of thumb for this is to dress as if the weather is 15 degrees warmer than it actually is, because your body temperature is going to heat up. And then unless you're, again, this is a beginner runner tip. Unless you're super pumped up and just really need to get some energy out, you probably don't want to line up in the front of the race. A lot of these types of trots and things like that aren't usually, like Dave said, very huge. Right. They're local events and that sort of thing. And so if you are seeing yourself in the starting line and you're not an experienced runner, maybe you just want to wait a little bit and peel off towards the back.
Yep.
If you are an experienced runner, keep your perspective if you're trying to PR. Just remember, a lot of these are meant to be fun runs, family runs. So some people there aren't going to be going out for PRs and that nature. So don't be frustrated if somebody does line up at the beginning and is kind of in your way. They're just out there to have fun. You want to always, if you are an experienced runner, encourage new runners as well. If you have experience, give those tips out to people. Like, hey, man, let's run together. Let's do something. Encourage all the time. I think we mentioned it with Brad here. People don't remember a lot of the times the specifics of the race or the course or something like that. They remember the people. Right. And so that's one of the things you want to keep in mind. So again, I'll post that information if you want more details at runiowa.org and our show information. We'll be back in just a second to wrap things up on episode 107 of the Run Iowa podcast. Any last thoughts, Dave?
No, but I just signed up for the turkey trot. So
hey, there you go. Awesome. Nothing for me either. Have a great holiday. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, just like normal, like we plan on it, and get you ready for other things.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy trails.
Happy trails to you until